Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Mike and Beans. I'm Beans, and I'm with Mike.
What's up? What's up?
So the NFC and AFC Divisional Round is taking place tomorrow and Sunday, and we've got some great matchups ahead of us. We're going to start with the Bills and the Chiefs, and I think Mike and I both agree that this is probably the best matchup of the weekend. Now, last week, Josh Allen and the Bills embarrassed the Patriots. And if my roommate heard that, I do apologize because my roommate's a big Patriots fan.
No, you don't. Don't apologize. They got curb stomped and they deserved it.
I don't apologize. But
good.
Josh Allen and the Bills offense at least played a perfect game. You know, Josh Allen was 21 for 25 with 308 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. They did not punt. They did not turn the ball over. And the Bills, like I said, basically a perfect game. And now with the Chiefs easily beat the Steelers. That game wasn't really close, maybe in the first quarter, but Patrick Mahomes and then company easily took care of them. So we're back for a week 5, a rematch of week 5 where the Bills and Chiefs met. And the Bills beat the Chiefs 38-20 in week 5. And I remember watching that game. That game was it was a weather game a little bit. I know they had to delay the game because of lightning, but Josh Allen had 350 passing yards, three touchdowns, and also 59 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. And Patrick Mahomes, he threw 2 picks that game. So my question to you, Mike, are the Bills the team that could bring down the Chiefs in the AFC?
If there's any team in the AFC, it is the Bills. I don't think. I mean, it's got to be a team that can match the Chiefs offensively. That's how the Bengals beat them. That's how the Bills beat them. The Bills were up 38 points. It's just that's also when people were writing off the Chiefs saying they might not make the playoffs, which I still don't get. They have the best player in the league. Come on. But I think we know who I'm backing. I got a Josh Allen signed poster for Christmas. My little brother got me a Josh Allen Funko Pop for Christmas. I got a Josh Allen jersey. I'm not going to pull it out just because that takes too much walking. But I don't think the Bills win that game. I really want them to win, but the loss of Tre'Davious White earlier in the year I think is crucial because the Chiefs have so many weapons that can attack you. Like you mentioned the Steelers game last week. The Steelers go up 7-0, and not a person in the world was like, oh, the Steelers could win this game. No one. Because when they played the Steelers earlier in the year, the Steelers were I don't remember if the Chiefs were without Kelsey or Hill. I think they were without Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill still went off. So you need someone who can actually contain one of those weapons. Tre'Davious White was that guy. He's not playing. He was out, I believe, week 13, somewhere around that time range. He got out. But I want the Bills to win. I think it's going to be a damn good game, as you mentioned, but I think the Chiefs take it. I just think they're too good offensively, and their defense kind of turned up in the last couple of weeks of the season. It's going to be a good game. I'm going to be rooting for the Bills. I'll have all my Josh Allen stuff with me, but I love Josh. But yeah, I think the Chiefs take it. I think the Chiefs are just that good again.
Well, I hate to say it, Mike, but that week when the Steelers played the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill didn't even play that well. I remember it was Pringle who had
the heir to the Chip Fortune, Byron Pringle.
I think he had 2 touchdowns against the Steelers, but that game was not close.
Oh no, I was talking about the one when they played in the regular season.
Tyreek Hill only had about 21 receiving yards that game.
Oh, let me effort that. Oh, maybe I'm dumber than you're right.
Yeah. So because I had Tyreek Hill in one of my fantasy
even
leagues.
Better.
And that just shows what the Chiefs are capable of when their 2 best offensive players, aren't on the field or just aren't even playing well. Yep. So, but I personally like you said, Bills are good and everything, but are the Chiefs just that better? It's possible, but if whoever wins this game, I personally think whoever wins this game, I think that team's going to the Super Bowl.
I agree.
We saw the Bengals, beat the Chiefs in the regular season, but that was in Cincinnati. And, even if the Chiefs have to go to Tennessee, or even if the Bills have to go to Tennessee, I'd still see either one of those teams coming out of it. You saw that Ryan Tannehill, struggled a little bit to, without Derrick Henry, even though the Titans are the 1 seed, they were arguably in one of the worst divisions in the NFL.
I would say the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Texans and Jags. So they got 4 wins out of that, or maybe
See, they beat
unless
the
the Texans,
Texans. They beat the Jags. They lost to the Texans, which
they
is
lost to the
hilarious.
Texans. They lost to the Texans once,
Yep.
but
And they sweep the Colts, so they had 5. Those were 5 of their wins.
okay, yes. But if Derrick Henry comes back, and I think we're still waiting on his availability for this weekend, but even if he's on limited snaps, I definitely think the Titans are definitely better off with him. And it's the first road playoff game for Joe Burrow. But no matter what, I personally think the Bills or the Chiefs would beat both of those teams. So we have that. And anything else on the Chiefs and Bills?
Nothing on the Chiefs and Bills. No, that's all I got. Go Bills, though. Go Bills.
Yeah, I think I'm personally on the Bills bandwagon as well. Go Josh. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna transition over to the NFC. I'd say the second best matchup of the weekend is Bucks Rams. Now, both the Bucks and the Rams came off pretty easy wins in their wildcard games. Stafford looked really good against the Cardinals, and boy, the Rams D really just made it a nightmare for Kyler Murray. And then the Buccaneers just swept past the Eagles. That game wasn't really close. Now, the Bucks and the Rams met in week 3 of the regular season, and the Rams won by 10. Matthew Stafford played one of his best games of the season, threw for 343 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Brady even played terrible. He tossed 432 passing yards, but only had 1 touchdown. But the Bucks have struggled, with absences on the offensive side. Leonard Fournette is out. I think, why didn't Ronald Jones play without? Why didn't Ronald Jones play last week?
I thought he got hurt as well, actually. I'll have to effort that, but I thought he was hurt as well, and they had to go with Vaughn.
Yeah, well, if so, both Rojo and Leonard Fournette are out. Chris Godwin's out for the season. They still have Mike Evans. They still have Gronk. But would you say, not having, half of their offense on the field is going to impact them in this game, even though, the Bucks in the regular season, they had to go to LA. Could be one of the reasons why they lost. But now the Rams have to go to Tampa Bay and play in Tampa.
So, as you mentioned, Ronald Jones, Brashad Perriman are both going to be out, along with Antonio Brown, who, I don't know. I just don't know what's going on with him. And Chris Godwin. They're all out. I think that plays a huge factor in this game, frankly. I think this is a pretty 50-50 game, but I think when you just look at the Bucks' real strengths, it's the run defense. They throw the ball really well, but the run defense is what enables them to do all those things. The Rams aren't going to really try to run on them. That's just not who they are as a team. McVay's not stupid. McVay knows, okay, you can't run on this team. We're not going to do what the Eagles tried to do and try to run it up the gut 8 times for -2 yards. That's not going to happen. So I think they're going to have more of a balanced offensive attack. I tend to lean the Rams in this spot. Part of it is because I want to see the Rams win. I'm not going to lie. I think it'd be pretty cool. I like Stafford, so I'd want to see Stafford succeed. I think the absences mean a lot. I think it's going to be a damn good game. I think it's a competitive game. I think it's really close. I think it's a very 50-50 game. I think the Rams are just a better overall team. I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Brady because Aaron Donald does what Aaron Donald does. You just got to let that go. Tristan Wirfs, I believe, is out for this game. I think that's huge. So I will be on the Rams in this spot. I think the Rams are better. I think this is if the Rams want to go far years beyond, like if there is one year for the Rams to take over, it is this year. This year is wide open in both leagues, frankly, the AFC and the NFC. So I'm on the Rams in this spot.
Well, one of the, a lot of people won't believe it, but Matthew Stafford got his first playoff win of his career last week. So shout out to him. And being with all those years in the Lions, I think he made playoffs about 3 times. Should have gotten a win when they played the Cowboys in, I think, 2014 when they did not call, when they picked up that pass interference call. Who knows what could have happened. But I really feel like, if there was a GOAT conversation and Tom Brady, wins this game, I think it's already a little decided. I think Brady's the GOAT, but this is just another thing to add on. He doesn't have his best offensive weapons. And if Brady, easily wins this game, or frankly just wins this game, I think it just adds to that. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. First of all, I don't know if this game means anything to Tom Brady just because he's won 11,000 Super Bowls. The bastard. But I think the one guy that could stand in front of him is Mahomes. And in the future, not now. Mahomes' career is not nowhere near done. But if you look down the line, Mahomes has already been to 2 Super Bowls. He's won 1. That's huge. If he can find a way to win one this year too, and that guy, I mean, he's young. He looks as good as anyone's ever looked. He could have a bit of Rodgers syndrome where he's made 1 Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls, and that's it. Yeah. And at that point, you can't say someone's the GOAT because you have to win games. It's that simple. So I think if there's one guy in the next couple of years that you can have an argument for against a cheater, and Tom Brady, by the way, I might add that he cheated. People seem to forget that he's a cheater. It would be Mahomes, but that's down the line. I think right now the only argument you could have against Brady is that if you don't think the GOAT has to be a quarterback, then maybe you could say it isn't Brady. I think there's an argument there, but if you think it has to be a quarterback, I think you're kind of lying to yourself if you don't want it to be Tom Brady. And I hate the guy more than anyone.
Okay, well, speaking of the Packers play this week. They had a first round bye, and they played the 49ers, and the 49ers defeated the Cowboys. And then Cowboys fans were so salty because, they blamed the refs for.
Yeah, learn the rules, Dak. Learn the rules, Mike McCarthy. I mean, I'm sorry. There is no sympathy that should be for them at all. They played a shitty game. They got beat, and they tried to run a draw play with 14 seconds left. Learn the rules. You had 2 shots at the end zone. Instead, you ran around like idiots while the refs were too involved. No, Randy Gregory tackled a guy. That's defensive holding. Learn the rules. It's not my fault. Mike McCarthy, you're a dog shit coach. You don't know what you're doing. You're an idiot, and you deserve to lose the game. Go Niners.
Yeah, go Niners. Well,
no apologies. No.
The Niners traveled to Lambeau Field this week, and I remember when we did our last episode, you said if there's one team, or maybe you said this, to me individually, but if there's one team that gives the worst matchup problems to the Packers, it's the 49ers. And Jimmy G is playing a little hurt. I think he's got that finger issue, but they got Deebo Samuel, and he's just an awesome player. And he showed it last week at a really important rushing touchdown for the Niners. But but Lambeau Field plays an impact. It's gonna be freaking freezing. The Niners don't often play in the frigid cold, so we'll see how that goes. But Mike, why do the Packers, why do the Packers not match up well with these 49ers?
Yeah, I've been saying it since I'm blue in the face. I've been saying it to anyone who would listen to me. But I got to say one more thing. Dak Prescott, the thing you said about the refs, you don't deserve a single roughing the passer call for the rest of your career. Okay, now that that's said, yeah, I think the Niners are a bad matchup for the Packers. I think when you look at the Packers, their weaknesses are pretty clear. It is, one, the run defense is really bad. It's definitely the worst of any team left in the playoffs, and you could argue it's one of the worst in the NFL. I would, frankly, not the worst, but it's down there. They have the worst special teams in the NFL, the worst. They can't tackle on punts. They miss kicks, extra points, all of it. Every single thing on special teams they do poorly. They are the worst special teams in the league. Somehow it's not the Chargers for the first time in 10 years. And 3, I don't think LaFleur's a great coach. People said coach of the year. I think that's bullshit. You just have Aaron Rodgers. We saw how stupid Mike McCarthy was, and Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. So I really just think LaFleur is an overrated coach. Absolutely. And when I look at the Niners team, the Niners run the ball really well. They have multiple guys they hand the ball off to in really weird spots. The Niners last week, Elijah Mitchell had 96 rushing yards. Deebo Samuel had 72. They got multiple guys that can beat you in multiple different ways. They like running a couple little draw plays for Ayuk too. They got multiple guys that run the ball. They're pretty creative offensively. Which leads into my next point. Shanahan's a better coach than LaFleur. I don't love Shanahan as a coach. I ranted about him earlier. I think he thinks he's smarter than he is, but LaFleur's not a good coach. He's not. He's mediocre. He's average. I think Shanahan's slightly above average, but not the top 5 coach everyone thinks he is. But they're going to find a way to gadget points and special teams. When I look at a team like the Niners, they're good on special teams. They just do those little things. They do those well. So I wouldn't say the Niners for sure are going to win. Bet the farm, they're going to win. Michael guarantee. But I think the Niners I think this is a 50-50 game. I think the Niners take it based on, I mean, you heard the analysis I gave, but if Aaron Rodgers came out through 2 touchdowns in the first 2 possessions, it's a completely different game that I expect the Niners to lose because I do not believe in Jimmy G. They should have won that. If Jimmy G was even like half decent that game, they win by maybe 20 points. Like the Cowboys were horrible, horrible. There was something they still won. They move on to the Packers. Hopefully Jimmy G can just play pretty well. Hopefully, just if he gives me like a good performance, I think the Niners take the Packers. So I'm on the Niners. I feel decent about it. I think that's an upset that not enough people are going to be talking about, but it's a bad matchup, and matchups make games.
Well, I want to go back. I want to touch on a brief thing real quick. So Aaron Rodgers, probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time, won Super Bowl. And we just talked about how his 2 coaches weren't good. Even though Mike McCarthy has a Super Bowl with him, he got that 1 Super Bowl and they never succeeded. He got to a few NFC championships. And then you have LaFleur, who last year made some questionable decisions during important games. So if Rodgers had a different coach, do you think this could be a different conversation with the GOAT? I mean, maybe he won't have 7 Super Bowls, but do you think the Packers could have been in more with a different coach?
I would say so. Mike McCarthy's a moron, but also I just think part of I don't know. It's a weird conversation to have. It's really hypothetical, which granted is most of sports conversation, but I think my counter to that would be it's not like Bruce Arians is like this awesome coach. Like he's a good football mind. He's not like anything special. It's not like Bruce Arians was like this special coach that if people would say something about Brady, it's like, oh, Belichick, the system, easy. But then he wins a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians, who had won one playoff game before he found Tom Brady. One. So it's not like Bruce Arians was a particularly great coach. I think he's a good coach. I love Jameis, so take that for what you will. But I don't know if he released a book called The Quarterback Whisperer: How to Build an Elite Quarterback in the NFL. So I don't think he's that guy. Also, I just found that on Wikipedia. That's the first time I've ever heard of that. That's hilarious. But I think that'd be my main counter. It's not like Arians is this great coach. So sure, could Aaron Rodgers have had more Super Bowls? Probably, but it's not something that's definitive that I can prove that you can prove. Like if Aaron Rodgers had, I don't know, Sean McVay as his coach for the 2 years after instead of 2 years of McCarthy, they could have more, sure, but it's just kind of the hand you're dealt sometimes.
All right. Well, all right. Back to the present games. We got one more matchup. We talked about it a little bit with Derrick Henry, but Bengals Titans. And last week, Bengals, snuck by the Raiders. It was close. I thought for his first playoff game, I thought Joe Burrow played pretty well.
Yep.
But now they have to go to Tennessee. And, we talked about it earlier, depending on Derrick Henry's status, it could be a whole different game. So do you think this is, most of the games we talked about, 50-50. And it seems like all the games right now are 50-50. And I definitely think this game could be 50-50. I think, the Bengals offensively, they have just a great young offense. And then the Titans are, I'd say, decent with Derrick Henry on the field. They're pretty good offensive team, but Ryan Tannehill was very kind of inconsistent down the stretch of the NFL season. And, if the Bengals take advantage of that, who knows what happens? Could we see the Bengals in the AFC Championship? What do you think, Mike?
I think this game's a blowout. I think the Titans beat him pretty easily, honestly. Because I think when you look at it, like rookie quarterbacks, I don't mean rookie, like first playoff game quarterbacks, they didn't perform particularly well. Derek Carr, I thought was okay. That was his first playoff game since the one other time the Raiders made the playoffs. He got hurt and they started Connor Cook, I believe. But that was Derek Carr's first playoff game. He was okay. Jalen Hurts in his first playoff game was not good. I mean, he's going against a good defense. Terrible matchup for the Eagles. And Kyler Murray was horrible in his first playoff game. Horrible. For Joe Burrow's first playoff game, I don't think he was bad, but I don't think he was the Joe Burrow we've seen so many times. So I think the spot being a road playoff team could be bad for the Bengals, but regardless, the Bengals season's a success. You didn't expect this team to be as far as they are. They've won so many games. They finally got over that playoff hump. It's a success, but the Titans offense with Derrick Henry is leaps and bounds better than without Derrick Henry. I think they're expected their yards per play basically goes up like 4 yards when Derrick Henry's on the field, just because not only is he so good as a rusher, which he is, but he completely opens up the play action. And people who say you don't need to run, you don't need to establish the run to establish play action are foolish. It's just coincidence at that point. But you just have to look at Tannehill stats with and without Derrick Henry, and it just shows you how valuable Henry is, even if they're going to use him as a decoy. It's not like this Bengals defense is great. They're a good unit. They've completely overachieved. They are so much better than I thought they would be. I think you have to give them a round of applause for that, but I don't think I think the spot's gotten too big for them. I think it's almost like a happy to be there. Like, we did our job. Like, we won a game. We got over that hump. No one saw us to be here. We won the division and we won a playoff game. And you're just against a Titans team that did it last year. Been there, done that. They're the 1 seed. They're getting healthy now. Julio's fully healthy. AJ Brown's now fully healthy. They're getting better to this point where I don't think the Titans have much of a chance to win the AFC Championship game, but that's a next week conversation. But I think the Titans kind of steamroll the Bengals here. I think this could get ugly quick.
Interesting. All right. Well, that concludes your NFL talk of the week. So, but definitely excited about these matchups coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely pay attention to that Chiefs-Bills game because that has the potential to be a high scoring and just a fun game to watch. But now we're going to move over to Mike's favorite, college basketball. Now, not the best slate this week, but there is one really damn good game we got. And it's Kentucky versus Auburn, the number 13th team in the country versus the number 2 team in the country. And you think that Auburn is the 13th ranked, but no, Auburn is the number 2 team in the country right now. Now, Kentucky's coming off a pretty good road win against Texas A&M, and Texas A&M doesn't have the best strength of schedule. They were 15-2 coming in that game. Kentucky beat them by 3, solid road win. And Auburn has been I think you would agree with me. Would you say they've been amazing?
They've been incredible.
Yeah, so Auburn's been incredible. Jabari Smith, top 10 lottery pick coming up. He's averaging 15.8 points a game for the Tigers. But then for Kentucky, you got Oscar Shibwe, right? If I pronounce that correctly. So he averages 16.1 points per game, but he also averages 14.8 rebounds. He averages a double-double. Pretty damn good. So he's a threat on the offensive and defensive side. Now, Mike, you got to be pumped for this game. It's on CBS.
Oh, this game's going to be awesome.
National
I can't wait.
game. I think it's at Kentucky.
It is in Auburn. Auburn's home.
Never mind. It's at Auburn. Ooh, that's a big that could be a big swing.
Yeah, that changes a lot.
It's very tough to win in Auburn, but Bruce Pearl has got a squad this year. So, Mike, give it to us. What do you think about this?
This Auburn team is surprised. I don't remember if they were ranked preseason, but I can tell you they have been very surprising. Jabari Smith, as you mentioned, is probably the number 1 pick in the draft. The Kevin Durant comparisons, usually when they're made for like everybody, they feel lazy, and to an extent they do for Jabari Smith, but he's nasty, man. He is so good. He is a big wing. I will never forget when he drilled a 3 against Syracuse and then started talking shit to Jim Boeheim. Love you for that. Love him forever. So he is one of my favorite players. Got to have respect, but he's 6'10", 220, and he's shooting 43% from 3. Like, that should almost goes to show you how good he is. He's averaging 16 a game, 16 and 7. He's legit. This Auburn team is fun too because they play fast. They get you going and going and going and going. And Auburn has 1 loss this year. It was to UConn I remember watching the game. It was ridiculous. I believe it was like Thanksgiving Day, and it went to double overtime. Double overtime Thanksgiving Day against a very good UConn team who plays tough. Not to mention, they were without the guy who was expected to be their best player preseason in Allen Flanigan. So, if there is a loss that I'm going to give you a pass for that game. This Auburn team is awesome. They're so nasty. And with Kentucky, they started off with the loss to Duke. That game, it's 8-point final, but it wasn't that competitive. They've lost at Notre Dame. They've lost at LSU. So they're not a great road team per se until the Texas A&M game. As you mentioned, they were 15-2 until Kentucky knocked them off. But this is going to be an awesome game. I think we all know it is. I think when I look at it, though, Big Sheeb, Oscar Shibwe, 16 and 15, he's going to get his. I thought he was kind of crazy for transferring from West Virginia to Kentucky. He made the right decision. Ty Washington as the point guard has really showed up recently, averaging 14, 4 and 4. Kellen Grady, excellent shooter. You just go down the list. These rosters are absolutely loaded, but I think we got to take Auburn here. I think Auburn's really good. There's no reason I should fade this team. They've played like the best team in the country. I was stunned Gonzaga was ranked above them. That blew my mind. This Auburn team has been as close to perfect as they can be. I mean, they lost one game without the guy who's supposed to be their best player in double overtime. That's a pass. And you're looking at the guards. Wendell Green and KD Johnson were looked at as like a mediocre guard tandem. Wendell Green transferred in from, I believe, Eastern Kentucky. He was a lead guard at La Lumiere, big high school program, if you don't know. And no one took him. He just went to Eastern Kentucky for a year, transferred because he was awesome. He was a great college, high school guard. I don't know why no one looked at him. He comes to Auburn. He's great. I mean, he's great. KD Johnson coming from Georgia, big effort guy, hustle. He's great. Walker Kessler from UNC, great. This is going to be a fast-paced, action-packed game. I'm really excited for it. I think there are going to be a lot of points. I would say probably like a 82 to like 80 type game, but maybe Auburn wins by a little more, but I think Auburn takes it. I think this Auburn team is special. I think they're not getting enough credit just because they're Auburn, and I don't know if people had like legit preseason expectations for them, but they're awesome. They are just excellent. This team is fun. They're going to be a very tough out in the tournament, and they're going to be a very fun watch. I got Auburn here.
All right. Well, college basketball, important people start paying attention to Auburn because they deserve it. Well, Mike, any other games to watch for this weekend?
Yeah, so the slate, as you mentioned, it isn't the greatest. I'm going to have to watch Villanova beat Georgetown by 1,000. I think the next biggest game is also in the SEC, though. I think you got to look at it's Tennessee versus LSU. This Tennessee team has been inconsistent for the last couple of years because they can't find offense. It's weird. They have these great offensive players, yet they just don't make it work. I think this year you have a guard in Kennedy Chandler who is going to be a guard in the NBA for years to come. He is awesome. He's a freshman, so he's going to make freshman mistakes, but he's a first-round pick. He is awesome. He's a star. He's going to be a star. And as with Tennessee, up until the Kentucky game, they had the second best defense according to Ken Palm in the country. That's down to 6th, but 6 is pretty good to me. That's pretty good. Versus an LSU team, they're first nationally defensively, which is surprising considering Will Wade hasn't had a good defense ever. But I think that's the second biggest game on the slate. I would tend to lean Tennessee as the home team. I think just being the home team matters in that spot. I think LSU is good. Keep in mind with LSU, they've lost 2 games recently to Arkansas and Alabama. Both were without Xavier Pinson. That's going to be something people will like point to LSU later in the year, like, oh, we can't trust this team. They lost to Arkansas and Alabama, and they kind of like fell off at certain spots. They're without Xavier Pinson, and their offense without Xavier Pinson is dog shit. It's horrible. They need him to do like anything offensively. They were without him and Darius Days. They still kept the game against Alabama competitive, so you got to give them a little bit of credit there, but I just think the spot is bad. Tennessee's an elite defensive team. What they did to Arizona, who is, in my mind, the best offensive team in the country, if not 2 or 3, was incredible. They just pressured early, and they just held on to that lead throughout. I think they're going to do the same thing here. I got Tennessee in the spot, but I think it's going to be a damn good game. Look, college hoops is fun. Say what you want. There might not be like some of like the noteworthy games, but I can tell you at least 10 of these games will come down to like the final possession, final 2 possessions, et cetera, et cetera. It's been a fun season. Every game is close and competitive, and that's not going to change this weekend. Write it.
All right. Well, that'll conclude this episode. Now, I got a shout out. Do a shout out. I'm going to shout out the Gators women's basketball team because we just beat 23rd ranked Kentucky on the road, and we've had a really damn good season. So they should rank us soon. I think we have about 3 or 4 wins over ranked teams, and we do have a bad loss against George Mason, but besides that, we've had a really good season. So shout out to them. Mike, any shout outs from you?
Yeah, I got one. This came across my timeline, my Twitter timeline this morning. It was Jose Alvarado, guard, 4-year player, Georgia Tech, very good guard. After he's in the NBA now. He was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's a defensive pest. He was awesome, and he's with the Pelicans now. And last night, he's a Brooklyn kid. He's from that area. I don't know if he's from Brooklyn, but he's from that like general area. And last night he played a game at the Garden. He had 13 points, 4 assists, and 4 steals off the bench. So he had a very good game. And they got Pelicans got him a post-game interview, and it was excellent. One of the quotes was, "I'm at the Garden, I won, and I'm doing an interview with y'all, and my people, my family are right there." After Josh Hart and Brandon Ingram bought his family some tickets, and Brandon Ingram, I believe, gave his brother a jersey. So that was awesome. The interview was excellent. Maybe I'll find a way to like link it somewhere. There's like a 3-minute video from Bally Sports New Orleans. That was awesome. So shout out to Jose Alvarado. I loved watching him in college. He was a pest. He won the ACC tournament his senior year. That was awesome. Injury in the tournament led them losing to Loyola Chicago. So, I mean, but still, awesome story. I'm so happy for the guy. Loved watching him in college. Love seeing him like that. So shout out Jose Alvarado.
I saw that. That was a great interview. Great interview. Well, that'll do it for our episode. And hopefully we'll be back either next week or the week after, because we tend to take 2 weeks off before doing another episode. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Peace.